This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 6.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 6, and today I've got a treat for you. Today's guest, Nathan Chan, is the owner and publisher of the Foundr magazine. This digital publication has been totally rocking the iTunes store. It's been outranking world's most popular and biggest business and marketing magazines, and there are quite a few reasons why this is happening. You'll find all of that out in today's show. Nathan will also share his experiences, his marketing tips and tricks, so you could use them to build and grow your own business. Enjoy today's show. Hey Nathan, welcome to Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
So you are the founder of, it sounds funny, you're the founder of the Foundr magazine.
Yeah, that's right. I get it all the time.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit more about the Foundr magazine, what exactly it is?
Sure. So Foundr magazine is a digital magazine on the App Store and Google Play Store about entrepreneurship for mobile devices and tablets. So it sits on the Apple newsstand. And essentially it's a tool, resource, and guide that shows people what it takes to build a successful business. And we give you actionable, strategical, really delve deep on content that teaches you certain elements around productivity, sales, marketing, scale, processes, you name it, around building your business, starting your business. And we do a lot of interviews with all sorts of leading entrepreneurs around the world, namely Richard Branson, Arianna Huffington, Seth Godin. We've got Seth Godin coming, Tim Ferriss, all these super successful, proven world-class entrepreneurs. And that's what Foundr magazine is. And we started off as a magazine, and we've kind of turned a bigger focus into building a platform that really serves aspiring and early stage of novice entrepreneurs and founders. And, we're much more than a magazine now. We're like a podcast, we're a website and a blog and social and email and you name it. So we're really a media brand now that produces a lot of content.
Yeah, I could only imagine producing the podcast and the magazine itself, because this is like a real life magazine. It's not, some people start a blog, they post once a week, a small article, and they call it a magazine of some sort, right? That happens.
Yeah.
But what you guys do, this is a full-blown magazine, like the real deal, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
And I could only imagine how much effort and time you put into creating all that content for, I guess, for all the mediums, not just for the magazine itself, but for the podcast, as you mentioned, for social channels, for blog, for everything else.
Yeah, look, it does. Oh, look, this is my full-time job, but it does take up a lot of time, and you need to find leverage where you can. I think that's something that's really, really important. So whatever we do now, I'm always looking to find leverage with that piece of content. So for example, last week I interviewed Tim Ferriss, and that episode and interview and magazine issues going live at the start of May. And, I interviewed him on Skype, just like how we're interviewing now. I'll tell you all the things that I will do with that interview. I will turn it into a blog post, which will it's because we recorded that interview, it'll be for the podcast, and that podcast episode will have a blog post with it, and it will have, a small blurb and a little bit of stuff that you can take away, plus the episode on the blog post too will have a magazine feature, and it's a front cover story, and that interview will also sit inside the magazine. Then there were certain questions that I asked Tim actually quite strategically, knowing that I can get, Tim's top 5 productivity tools that he's using right now, which I could use to put on our website and then do a guest post somewhere, like maybe on like Business Insider or Huffington Post and all that kind of stuff. And then also I can create shareables. So like, we can quote certain phrases and quotes and things that he said on the interview, which we can roll out via our social channels as well. And we can do all of that with half an hour of Tim's time. So you can see how I try and find as much leverage as I can. And at the same point, I don't do a lot of that work. Like I'll have writers that write up the article. I'll have editors that edit the podcast. I'll have somebody that uploads the episode. I'll have somebody that, uploads the blog post and does all that. I'll have somebody that designs the quotes, and I'll have somebody that designs the magazine, and I'll have someone that edits the article. And do you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So it is a lot of work, but you can find leverage with that.
Yeah, this is actually pretty amazing advice, and I try to do that whenever I can. And a lot of people who create content, they don't seem to realize it, that when you produce one piece of content, you could leverage it in so many ways. Like you said, if you do an audio recording or a video recording, even better, right? You've got a video, you could split it into audio, you could transcribe it into a ebook. Actually, you could produce a full ebook. Maybe it's not going to be too long, but it's going to be a book with that story, and you could elaborate a bit on the story. But yeah, from one simple interview, you could actually have so much content.
Yeah, that's right. And I forgot to also mention that we'll put it on YouTube as well, because we put every one of our podcast episodes on YouTube as well. And then another thing I'm planning on doing, it's great you mentioned the ebook, is I'm going to create an ebook which is like, and it'll just answer one simple question, and it is what if, and we'll start asking, and I've already asked this to a lot of the people that we've interviewed, but I'm having more of a focus on it now because I know I want to create this ebook where we'll have at least 50 to 100 responses answering one simple question. And what is it that you wish you knew as an entrepreneur when you first started out? So that's something that I asked Tim Ferriss. That's something that I asked Seth Godin. So, and every single one of those responses is totally different. It's serious gold, and you can package that up and you can turn it into an ebook and you can sell it. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm also doing. So yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah, let me know when that comes out. I'm buying one. I would really love to read such a book, actually. That's a great idea. I'm really curious, how did you actually get started with the magazine? How did you get the idea of doing a digital magazine, and when did you launch it? When did it first come out?
Yeah, so I launched Foundr March 5th, 2013. So we've just turned over 2 years old. And I came up with the idea because I knew that there wasn't really a magazine in the space that really tackled the problem around entrepreneurship and packaged it up in a magazine that was for young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, novice stage entrepreneurs, that there was something out there that you could really relate to. I really found that the entrepreneurs, the fast companies, they do interviews with these successful people, but they don't really go that deep. And I think in terms of content that you produce, you really need to go deep now, and you need to give people actionable stuff that they can take away. So a magazine is much more than just a breaking news kind of source. Like this is the way I view magazines now. They're like, with what we do at Foundr, it's less of a breaking news source or a channel, and it's more of a learning education channel. So people read Foundr because they're going to take something away. It's a guide, not just inspiration from the story. The story's great, but I think it's really, really important that people can get value. That's how you create value, I think. So, especially with this content stuff. So I knew that there was a need that needed to be filled there. And I also, I was working my day job. It took me about, 9 to 10 months to build up the magazine while I was working my day job to be able to replace my income. Foundr's my first real business. I knew nothing about startups. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship, graphic design, apps, copywriting, editorial, you name it. So I've just started from scratch. And that's how I conceptualized the idea. And then also a big piece of it was I had the opportunity to be taught step by step using a platform called Magcast, which gave me, I guess, the blueprint on how to launch your own digital magazine. And combining all of that, that's how we launched.
Wow, that's that actually sounds pretty amazing that you had the courage to jump into something you had no idea about. You didn't know anything about, as you said, entrepreneurship or marketing or business, and especially about the technical aspect of all of it, the whole aspect of designing that, creating and putting together the digital magazine. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't know where to start with that. And that's pretty huge that you actually just went ahead with it and never looked back.
Yeah. It's easy to say that now, but looking back, Alex, it was nowhere near easy as I'm probably making it out. I'll be very, very clear. When I started, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm actually quite embarrassed by, even the first, I'm quite embarrassed of definitely the first issue that we produced. The front cover didn't even have a famous person or a successful entrepreneur on the front. It was a stock image that we purchased off,
That's
Big
good.
Stock Photo or something. And man, I had no idea what was going on. I was just lucky enough to find good talent and use off-the-shelf software. They're two pieces that really helped alleviate that, I guess, that fear that as every aspiring entrepreneur goes through, and I even go through to this day, the more and more products that we launch now, is you just don't know where to start. Like, we're going down this courses route and building a massive back end system and funnel. And, I just don't know where to start. And sometimes it even to this day holds me up, and I just got to keep attacking it, keep trying to work out, and just keep reminding myself, you just got to make progress. You just got to keep taking action, putting stuff out into the world, shipping, as Seth Godin would say, just constantly ship, iterate, and then, you work it out along the way. And I think part of all of that with the magazine when I started was off-the-shelf software, being very lucky to recognize great talent early on. I think that's really, really key. My graphic designer, I still work with him to this day, and we have an amazing relationship. He's a great friend of mine. I actually went to Karan's wedding in India, so he's from India, and I went to his wedding with my partner, and it was an amazing experience that we'd never met in person before, and we're actually going to the States together, and we're doing all sorts of cool stuff. So off-the-shelf software, having a good eye for talent, and then lastly, I think my situation was I was working in a day job and I was frustrated, Alex. Like I was doing work that didn't fulfill me. I was working in a really, really shitty IT job, crawling under desks. Somebody's monitor wouldn't work or their mouse wouldn't work, so they called me up and I have to go over there and fix that. Just really just degrading, kind of boring work. And I knew that there was so much more out there for me. I knew that I was destined for so much more, and I was living an ordinary life. And I just got so frustrated that it sparked and triggered this fire inside of me that I cannot be outworked. I cannot be out-hustled. And I just want it so extremely bad. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that will overcome any underlying scared feeling that you have of not knowing where to start, worrying about failure, worrying about putting work out there that people might not like or they're going to bag or you might be embarrassed by. Because when you want it so badly, you just don't care what other people think, as long as you know in your heart that you're providing value and you believe in the product or the service and that there is value and you're solving a problem. I think you have nothing to lose. So I think it was all of that really helped me execute and launch for March 5th, 2013.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I think a lot of people could relate, especially to the last point. Personally, I have a very similar story to yours. My whole internet marketing venture started in 2007, and
Wow.
it was because of a job that I did not like at all. It's this vicious circle. You have to buy a car to get to your work, and you have to keep going to work to make your car payments, and things like that. And it never ends, and every day you're unhappy, and you have to do it because you have to pay your bills. And eventually I just started looking into this whole online marketing game, and I've tried a lot of different things. Some of them were successes, some of them were failures. But like you said, once you reach that point when there's no going back, as in you can't make it worse than it already is, right? You've got your secure job or whatever you want to call it. You're going to get your paycheck, but you got to start doing something. If you're that unhappy and unsatisfied, you have to start looking into something else.
I agree. And the internet's changed the game now, man. Like, if you're doing work that you're not satisfied with and you don't enjoy, what the work that we do at Foundr, like, this is what I was born to do. And I say that very, very confidently because I have so much fun. It doesn't even feel like work. And the amount of people that we're helping and making an impact on with Foundr, like, I can't describe that feeling, that gold that just comes through, from these emails that I get, or, just speaking to somebody and reading that, our work has changed someone's life or sparked the inspiration and the motivation and, the action taking to get up off their day job and, just do something and create something. Like, that is where the real gold is at. You can't put a price on that. And that's where it's at, having that impact. The money is great. Doing the work that's fulfilling can be quite selfish, but, you're serving the world. You're serving a community. And that's what we're doing at Foundr. And that's kind of what has held me in good stead to this day, I think, and that is getting us the level of growth and traction that we're getting now is because we care. I think that's so important. And look, the work that I'm doing is extremely fulfilling.
Totally. I agree with you, man. And yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. And it's great. Every time I hear someone who's completely satisfied and happy with what they do, and it just keeps them moving forward and wanting to do more, it's rare in our day. But I'm really happy every time I hear that. So congratulations on doing something you love doing.
Well, thank you, Alex. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of hard times. But, sometimes I had to kick myself to realize that, I can wake up when I want. I don't dread Mondays. I don't look forward to Fridays. It's just like, I just wake up and I'm excited about the day ahead. My day job and doing work that doesn't fulfill me is not something that I'd have to tolerate anymore. I feel very privileged to do the work and have that kind of freedom.
Well, that is totally awesome. All right, so let's pass on to another question, which kind of follows what's been said so far. It's been about 2 years, a little more than 2 years, 2 years and a month actually. Let's say that Foundr was launched, and where is it at this moment right now, popularity-wise? Like, how many downloads you get? Do you know how big is your audience? And at these kind of numbers, what do they look like?
Yeah, of course. So in terms of where we're at, we are now in the App Store. We are a top 10 ranked business and investing app in that category. So in the newsstand, under all magazines, under the business and investing category, which is where, Entrepreneur, Fast Company, Forbes, Inc., HBR all sit. We sit next to those guys. We sometimes even rank higher than those guys for not only just grossing, but also in terms of downloads. So that's where we're at. In terms of the numbers, we've had hundreds of thousands of downloads. We're at close to 150,000 downloads, and we have around 20 to 25, yeah, closer, more towards 25K active monthly readers, and that's just on the app alone across Google Play and the App Store. We've our website gets close to, I'm only just starting, like the last 6 months I've been really focused on growing the website. We're getting close to 25 to 30K monthly hits. We've got a social reach of over 250,000. So yeah, look, I have a goal and mission to impact 1 million entrepreneurs collectively from all of our channels. So email list,
Wow.
website, social, the magazine, the app, and we will get there. Like we're collectively at around 300. No, we're collectively around 400K, collectively at least. So we will get there. By the end of this year, December 31st, I want to be able to have an impact and a platform that impacts 1 million entrepreneurs, and that's one of my goals at the moment. So there's some hard numbers there. Does that answer your question? Would you like to hear more? Would you like to delve deep on those numbers?
No, that's good. I think we'll dive deep a bit later
Sure.
through the podcast, because I have some more specific questions for you in my mind. Because see, this is the format of this podcast. I go into this podcast without having questions normally, as in I don't have a list of questions, but one of the reasons that I reached out to you to do this podcast is because I'm interested in you as a person and in what you do as a business. And while thinking of the podcast, right, time is passing. It's Sunday night. I know I have to interview you on Tuesday. And slowly the questions start coming to me. Oh, how did he do that? Oh, how did he do that? Oh, how did this happen? So I have all these questions right now in my head, and I'm trying to figure out which ones would be the most interesting and most important to my listeners. So we'll dig a little deeper into Instagram, actually. You probably know why.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but right now I'd like to ask you, I think this is a question that a lot of people would like to know the answer to. So you're starting this magazine that nobody knows about. How do you manage, or how did you specifically manage to get all those big name superstar business entrepreneurs into your magazine?
Yeah, this is a question that I am asked a lot. I think there's a few things there, Alex. It comes back to having a magazine. I think having a magazine in itself is very sexy. I don't know what it is about magazines, but people love them. Like this, because they package up things nicely. They save time for people. They're nice to read. Like you can look at a website, right? And you can't really scroll through. You can't really move through the pages, and it's not tailored. It's not it's just the reading experience and the content consumption experience is a lot different. So magazines have been around a lot longer than websites have been around, right? So it has some sort of heritage behind it as well. Foundr is a digital magazine, but at the same time, it is, like you said, a publication. We are a serious publication. We take our publication very, very seriously. We have an editorial calendar, we have a schedule, we have a certain set of segments that we deliver every month. We make promises. It's a monthly magazine. We ship at the middle of every month, and we have a front cover. So first things first, I think having a magazine is very, very powerful. And I think a lot of people forget about how powerful it is to have a magazine, because a lot of people don't run their own magazine. It's quite a nice title to have, being a publisher of your own magazine. So when it comes to getting Richard Branson, Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin, Damon John, Barbara Corcoran, all these guys that, we've either featured right now or they are coming sometime this year, they're all going to be on the front cover, obviously. So I'm pitching for a front cover feature. We do have a reach impacting the hundreds of thousands across Instagram, our social channels, our website, our podcast, our magazine. 20,000 active readers isn't something that you would sneeze at. That is a decent amount of people looking, knowing, and trusting everything that we do. We've got great branding. All these things all kind of add up to build this credibility and social proof. So I will I've answered this question many times, so I'd like to tackle it a little bit differently for your audience so they can get a little bit of a different perspective on things. So I will tell you that first things first, this is the process I go through. So at the moment, like literally last week, we filled out our covers for 2015. Our editorial calendar for 2015 is pretty much filled now, and we filled out the covers especially. So we've got up until December booked. So December, we have Guy Kawasaki on the front cover. November, we have Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley. October, we have Steve Blank. September, we have Tony Robbins. August, we have Michelle Phan. July, we have Damon John. June, we have Seth Godin. And May, we have Tim Ferriss. So that's all booked. So how did I get all of those people? First things first, I have to find a gatekeeper. This is the person that either says yes or no that filters all of these requests. Right now, I need a gatekeeper, man, because I get so many people emailing me saying, Nathan, can you do this? Nathan, you want to do that? Here's a partnership opportunity. Can you promote us here? Can we partner up? Can you do this? Can you interview us? All this stuff. So every single one of these people, like, for example, Tim Ferriss is a hot topic because I just interviewed him last week. We're going to launch. He had a person that he pays, like an agency. A lot of the times these guys have agencies or people that they pay to get interviews, that Tim is looking for press. So the first things first is finding that person. Once you find that person, you have a lot more chance to get him on your front cover, on your podcast or whatever, instead of pitching cold. The next thing is to write a really good email. What elements do you need to put in the email? Every single email, I attach an example feature of the Richard Branson cover. Richard Branson is somebody that a lot of entrepreneurs look up to. Any single person that's an entrepreneur knows who he is. It's a beautifully designed cover. It's a beautifully designed issue that if people see that, they're going to fall in love and they can see that we are the real deal. And also in the email, I state our numbers. We've got 20,000 active readers. We've got a social reach of, 250,000 right now. All these other things, these are decent numbers. We have the reach in the hundreds of thousands of people. And another thing I do is I pitch well ahead of time. So, I'm very, very organized. I think there's a lot to be said and it's underutilized. If you want to interview someone, yes, you have to, I guess, pitch them. And I think you need to be organized, though, and you need to be strategic about it. Like, is this person launching a book at the moment? Does this person need press? Are they looking for press? Do they have something going on? So that's another thing. So I'll put that in the email. We show an example. Another thing that I do is, I guess, I look where I can help them. I'm looking not just from a press standpoint, but I look at where I can help them. So always serve first and ask later. I also look if I can get an introduction from a friend. That's another great way. Like a friend introduced me to Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley. That's another great way. And I guess it's just doing the time, building up those numbers. We got very, very lucky that for issue 8, we interviewed Richard Branson, and I found him from finding his head of PR and pitching her. And, it was just a Q&A interview. So I did it over email, just sent questions and then he answered them and then they come back to us. And I guess if you can find that kind of leverage, that was kind of a stepping stone for us because it is difficult. You kind of have to work your way up the chain of influencers. Now we're kind of at the top where we can really interview any influencers we like. Like I'm trying to track down Elon Musk at the moment because he's just about to launch a book. I don't know if I'll get him, but I'll keep trying. And another thing is persistence, like Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank in America. I pitched her over a year ago and we just, it took a long time and then I had to pitch her a second time. I get a lot of no's too. Don't think for a second that I get always yeses. I get more yeses than I get no's now. But even when I first started, like when I first started, no one would, write back to me. I found it very, very difficult to get interviews. So you just kind of have to keep working your way up the chain, building that momentum, and then having a magazine does help, having that social proof, having the numbers, building up your readership, keep providing value. And then it's kind of like a snowball effect, really. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, man, that's I'm a bit mesmerized here listening into all of it. That's very interesting because, well, yeah, I haven't tried to reach Richard Branson or someone of that caliber, right? But I do also, since I am doing a podcast and the main format of the podcast is having guests on it, successful guests. So I always ask myself this question as well. And some of the answers that you gave, I kind of had them in my mind, just not as developed. So personally, that's going to help me a lot to change and adapt my strategies of inviting people to this podcast.
Yeah, I think you need to find out what they want, and then also another thing, which I totally forgot to mention, is branding is very, very important. I cannot stress that enough. If you go to the Foundr website, it's very professional, it's funky, it's cool, it matches our branding, it stands out, and it makes us look very, very professional, like the real deal. And we're not faking it, but in essence, you do kind of have to fake it till you make it in some way. So I highly recommend that if people are looking to build a brand and they want to, become an influencer in whatever niche, not even the entrepreneurship niche, if you are pitching and you want people to take you seriously, you will need a media kit. We don't even have a media kit. This is something that I probably should have had a long time ago, but I'm working on it now. But you need a media kit. You need a really nice website. You need solid branding. You need social proof. You need the numbers. And you just work it from there, man, really. Like, it's taken 2 years, and I was thinking about it before I jumped on our interview. Man, like, I get a lot of people now that like yourself that find our work, and I don't know how people are finding our work, but they really like what we're doing and they want to interview me. But even a year ago, dude, I would never get somebody that contacts me and said, Nathan, I want to interview you. It's only been this past really 6 to 9 months that's really started to explode. So it just takes time, I think, to build your brand.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with you that it takes time. A lot of people don't realize that many people, unfortunately, do start something and they give up way too soon.
I agree.
When you start a new business, what I like about online is that usually it's a lot faster than a typical brick and mortar business. Let's say if you open up a furniture store in your city, it could take you 5 years until you actually pay yourself. It'll take you a long time and a lot of investment. The beauty of internet that you could make that happen a lot faster, but people expect to see results within a week or a month. And if they don't, they just give up. They want instant gratification, which doesn't work in any business, on or offline.
Yeah, no, that is true. I really like online businesses too because they allow you to have scale and you can use the power of technology to do the work for you. And I think that is really, really cool. So yeah, by all means, I'm not saying that, if you use these strategies that I have, you'll be able to interview Richard Branson or do sorts of things that I'm doing, because you have to remember that I've done the time and I've built up that momentum. It's very, very important that it doesn't happen overnight. And the stuff that I'm doing, I have fast-tracked it, no doubt about it. But at the same time, I've done the time, man. Like, I've been doing this for 2 years now. That's a while.
It is. That's a big investment of your personal life. It's a chunk of your life, 2 years. Doing that nonstop. And I'm sure you spend a lot of weekends and sleepless nights, especially at the beginning, working on all of that.
Yeah, of course. Like, I work like crazy, man, but it's not like I work like I choose to, and it's not like it's a job for me. So it doesn't really matter because I have so much fun, and I'm just kind of obsessed. Even now that I don't have my day job, I still work crazy, and it's a lot of fun. And Yeah, I don't know. That's just me. I set big goals and I work on attacking them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right. So you started the magazine, and you're probably getting some guests already to your magazine. But how did you get your first readers? What kind of promotions you used to get people to your magazine, to your brand, actually?
Yeah, great question. So when I first started Foundr, I didn't even focus on any social channels like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, none of that. I wish I had started sooner, to be honest. For a long time, I didn't really do much with them. I didn't even have a nice website. We didn't even have a blog, dude. We had a very basic landing page because that's what Apple required from a support perspective, that if somebody has a problem with your app, you need to send them to a support page, a contact page as well. So we had a very basic, really crappy website. So when I first started, my only focus was the magazine. And we got our first, I guess 100 or 1,000 paid customers purely from one, being consistent. It's a subscription based business model. So something like what I do with Foundr, you build momentum over time and you keep your current customers happy, and then you get more customers, you make more money. So that's one thing that allowed us to grow financially. It's a subscription based business model. If you're looking for tactics and strategies on how I got my first 100 customers or 1,000 customers, one thing was I chose a marketplace that already had buyers looking to buy stuff. I think the App Store can be very, very powerful. So, one thing about Steve Jobs is he taught people how to pay for content. He taught people the importance of paying for content. And that's what he did with iTunes, and that's what he did with the App Store. So people are happy to, jump on and find an app that, resonates with them and pay, $3 for a subscription, or $5 for a one-off issue purchase, or $21 for a yearly subscription. And the amount of value that we provide far outweighs the amount of money you're paying. So, that's a tactic and strategy in itself. Another thing that we did early on was, I think, leveraging influencers. So, for example, in the first few issues, we got the people that we had on the front cover or with inside the magazine to do mail outs. I don't know how I did it back then, because I don't get anybody to mail out anymore, but they were mailing out for us. That was a big one. And then also having a really good iTunes landing page, I think, is very, very important. You have to look at how people are finding you and what's the process that they get taken through. Everything has a process, right? So, it's really important to retrace the steps backwards on how that person purchases. So if someone's going to purchase the magazine, they have to press that yellow button, or they might download the free issue within the magazine and they select subscribe, because we have a lot of calls to action within the free issue. So, what is the process that they get taken through before they even get to click the yellow button or the red button or whatever? So before that, they have to download the app first. So what is going to take that person to download the app? A lot of people won't not even open up the app. So you have to always make sure you send push notifications. You have automation in place that reminds people that they haven't opened up the app in 30 days. But before that, what's going to take people to download the app? You're going to have, you need a lot of reviews. It's like your backlinks. In the App Store, you need to have a lot of reviews because people won't trust you. So, yeah, anybody that wrote me an email that said they love the magazine, I asked them to leave us a review. I'm very, very, I guess, not persistent, but mindful that anybody that gives us compliments to the magazine and Foundr and the podcast as well, I asked them to leave a review to help us on our mission. And that all adds up. That's social proof. That helps in your rankings for search terms. what do your screenshots look like when somebody comes to your landing page? So what are the things that people look at before they download the app? They come to your iTunes landing page. They look at the reviews. They look at the copy. They look at the icon. They look at the screenshots. They look at, what problem is it solving? What are the benefits? What would I get? Where's the risk? I don't want to waste my time. So, I give away a free issue. All these kinds of things you need to take into account when you're looking to get your first 100 to 1,000 customers, and you need to look at the field that you're playing in. So, I looked at Foundr and the magazine and the app and the landing page of what's it going to take, what gets people across the line. I used marketing strategies that I learned from the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, which I highly recommend. And I just kind of worked, great book. And I just kind of worked backwards. And all of those things really helped us in the early stages.
Yeah, still, thanks for answering that. That's actually a lot of stuff. That's for those who are listening to the podcast, this is what I meant when I said that you've probably done a lot of work, especially at the beginning, because all those things, besides the point that you need to learn all of that and learn how to do it, you actually have to do it. Learning is not enough. You have to actually apply it in real life, and that also takes time. And there's also this little hiccups and technical problems, and so it takes a lot. And as everything you've told me so far, that's actually so much effort. I think a lot of people who never done anything of that, they can't even imagine how much effort that took.
Yeah. You name it, Alex. Like, not only working this stuff out, like actually finding that information, speaking to people that are doing well, taking the time to build that relationship, learn from them, and then also testing. I'm testing this stuff all the time as well. So, there is a lot, and that's just one very small element of our business. So, it does take a lot. It takes a lot of focus, and you need to be tracking that stuff. You need to be analyzing it. You need to be testing, and it is a lot of work. But that's a good analysis that you made, because I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, well, it was all worth it in the end. At least so far, it's really worth it. I'll have to listen to this podcast many times, because I'm already like getting information overload.
Oh, that's all good. That's all good. Yeah, I really gave you a framework that I kind of, or a mindset that I kind of used, less around the tactics and strategies, but more of a mindset and framework that I use. Like, what's the marketplace that I'm playing in? How do I get more people? What's the process that these people go through? And I've just kind of reverse engineered it backwards. I think that's the best kind of way to go about it.
Yeah, that's totally true. And I do that sometimes as well for when I launch something new, or I jump into a new venture. Often I try to find the influencers and people who have succeeded in this industry or in this venture that I'm trying to go into. And first of all, I'm not even listening to them as much as trying to figure out what have they done to get to that level. Because a lot of great entrepreneurs, they will actually be very transparent and they'll tell you what they did. But the thing is, they'll miss out on a lot of things because simply they just wouldn't think of them. So I think it's a great idea to look into, try to figure out every step of their success, what they have done to get where they are, and try to adapt your own business or your own venture into something similar. I'm not saying copying what they've done, because results will vary every time for every single person, but to have that basic idea of main things. Okay, this is how they did that, this is where they got that, and this is the result, and try to do something similar.
Yeah, no, I think that's really smart. I think copying is definitely, I guess, underrated, in the sense that I think there's nothing wrong with looking at what other industries are doing and market leaders, and then applying it to your own niche. Like, everyone copies. You look at iPhone, you look at all like computers, the mouse, everything. Like, everything has come from an idea that has been altered. That's something that somebody first taught me a long time ago. Is you want to start a business, you don't actually have to come up with a new idea. you can essentially just look at an idea that somebody's already put out into the marketplace that is doing well and improve on that. So,
Exactly.
that is copying, and it even sounds bad. And, don't get me wrong, I don't copy people and I have no interest in ripping off anybody's ideas or style. But at the same time, if somebody else is doing something in a different industry or they're doing something that I can improve on, well, I will do it. You know what I mean? Because they're doing the testing work for you as well.
You just do it better and harder. Okay, so we're moving on a bit into the social space, and this is a very, very interesting subject for me personally, because I'm working on a few projects right now that are really concentrated on social media, to be more precise, Instagram. And I'm not going to give any details here. I would love you to tell us about your Instagram account, because I'm also really amazed by your Instagram account. So could you tell us, when did you start it, how many followers you have so far, and how did you get those followers?
Yeah, so Instagram has been a massive source of customer acquisition for not only the magazine, but building our email database and essentially growing the exposure for Foundr quite rapidly. So I started on Instagram in November. It came about because I was bringing on an intern that was going to work with me. And I wanted him to run our Instagram account and give this Instagram thing a shot. And long story short, we were at 0 in November, and fast forward to now, we're over at 100. We're at 120,000 followers, and it's a super engaged following as well. We can get thousands of comments on certain images, 4,000, sometimes 5,000 likes on an image. And it's super, super engaged. And we've found many advocates for our brand and our mission. And it's been a pretty big game changer for our business, to be honest. We were doing well, but finding Instagram and really dominating that channel, now that we're like one of the biggest, we're up there with like the top influential business related Instagram accounts. And I actually have networks and relationships with all the top, like all of me and all my friends. We collectively have the largest set of Instagram real estate in the business niche. So that's a very, very powerful channel for us. And I can go through. I could probably talk about it all day around how I did it. I'll go through with some of the main ones. Long story short, is it's all about creating content that your audience wants. So for us, quotes work really well. I don't know what it is about quotes, but I find everyone does quotes now, not just on Instagram, but Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, Pinterest, you name it, Tumblr. Mm-hmm. So quotes work really, really well because they have a viral component to them. So they spread like wildfire. So one thing was I created just epic quotes that I knew resonated, that I liked, that I knew our audience would like. And these quotes were ones that triggered an emotion. I think that's a really, really important lesson to learn, is the kind of images that spread like wildfire that people share and they tag their friends and they screenshot it and repost it and they like it and then their other friends see it are the ones that trigger an emotion. That is very, very powerful. If you know that, you can get a lot of leverage with the images that you choose on your social channel, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, whether that's Instagram. Instagram's very visual too, and the engagement is crazy good. It's like 50 times better than Facebook. So Instagram's my favorite social channel, certainly for building an email list and building exposure for your brand. And that was the first piece of the puzzle, was just really getting the content down pat and testing, constantly testing, posting stuff that I wasn't sure would work, and then working out what really resonates with our audience and future prospective followers. And I kind of got that down pat pretty quickly. And then I was posting. I don't post as much as I was, I'm not hustling as hard as I was, to be honest, on Instagram. Because once I had a goal of getting to 100K, we got to 100K in 4 months. And then after that, I kind of just took a little bit of a break. I still post every couple of times a day, but I need to set a new goal that I want to get to 200K in 200,000 followers in a certain amount of time, because I've lost that target. I've kind of lost that momentum and focus, to be honest, and I'm focusing on other things and stuff like that. So posting is really, really important. The more you post, the faster you grow, because it just kind of makes sense. If I was posting like 10 times a day, that's, we get how many comments and people tagging in their friends. Obviously, the more people that do that, the faster you grow, the more people that see you that follow you. So that was one thing. And then another thing was finding other like-minded accounts that will shout out your stuff. And it's like old school business development. It's like partnerships. I have partnerships and relationships in place where we help each other out and we shout each other out. And a shout out, a share for share, is when you post that person's photo and you tag them and mention them in the caption, and then they do the same for you. It's like a reciprocal cross promotion. And that is very, very powerful. So I do that a lot, nowhere near as much as I used to, but that is really, really powerful for growth. And then, those are the main things. I actually launched a course because our community, like the Foundr magazine, the Foundr community, like, Nathan, how the hell are you doing this? We want to learn. And a lot of people asked me to come and consult for them and stuff like that. And it just wasn't really scalable to do that. So I launched a beta version of a course, an Instagram course, step by step, unpacks absolutely everything, hours and hours of content. And we're just that's what I'm working on at the moment, relaunching that course, putting it behind a membership site, having a decent sales page, setting up a funnel and all sorts of things like that. So that's what I'm working on. And, if people are interested to delve further and you really, I guess, hear my brain dump of how I did it absolutely step by step and not miss a thing, because we could talk about it for hours, you can go to foundrmag.com/getig, and that's Foundr with no E. But they're the main things.
Okay, that sounds really good. The ones that I've heard so far, mostly, a lot of people say that you have to reply to comments on your pictures as much as possible. You can't reply to every comment. You can't reply to every smiley face, But it's been working well for me. Every time I reply, not every time, but very, very often when I reply to a comment on my picture that I post on Instagram, I see that person following me back rather quickly. You engage, they reply, they follow. You engage, they follow. That's been helping me actually a lot lately.
Yeah, look, that is a good one. Don't get me wrong. That is a good one. You have to treat your community like gold. Like right now, I probably need to hire a social media manager / community manager, because I just can't keep up with the comments, man. But
of course.
Definitely in the early days, you need to be treating your community like absolute gold. And attention is so rare. Like, it's becoming harder and harder to get. So if somebody takes the time out of their day to contribute to your community and have feedback on something that you've posted, you want to write back to them and make them feel special, because that's actually like a really powerful thing. Like, people pay for attention. People go on Facebook and they pay for someone to like my page. They pay for someone to download my free opt-in lead magnet ebook or whatever it is. They pay for attention. So if you're getting that attention for free, I think you definitely need to capitalize on that and don't disregard it. And I keep saying to myself, I need to get better. I will be hiring someone that can help out with that, because, we've got such a thriving community on Instagram. We need to really be treating them well, treating our members, everyone in our community really, really well. Because 120,000 people, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really a lot. And this is why I wanted you to tell the whole story and the numbers, because at first at first when I found one of the first posts that you had on that account, I thought I saw something wrong because it was posted 5 months ago, and then you have 120,000 followers. I'm like, something doesn't add up. Maybe this account was started 4 years ago, or there's an extra zero in the followers. How do you manage to get over 100,000 followers in less than a half a year? And actually, you said you got 100,000 followers in about 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 25,000 people per month, and that's pretty much 1,000 followers a day. A bit less than that, but not far from that. This is actually, wow, this is really incredible, and I hope people will go check out your course that you mentioned. I'll add it in the show notes. I'll check it out myself probably as well, because I'm really curious. All right, Wen, thank you so much. We're getting to 1 hour mark, which is probably the longest interview so far for the podcast, which I don't mind, but it is getting long for a lot of listeners. So I'll wrap it up with one final question that I usually ask my guests. If you had your most important suggestion to anyone just starting any kind of entrepreneurship venture, what would be that most important advice?
I think it's very, very important that if you are just about to start a venture, that you surround yourself with like-minded people. I know it's probably something that gets said all the time, but I really do believe that it is so critical and key to your success. Every single thing I do, well, not every single thing, but a lot of what I do is speak to people and learn. Just like how you've connected with me and you want to pick my brain, I do that every single day, where I find somebody killing it on something and I reach out to them. And not like, to be honest, Alex, if you had said to me, Nathan, I want to catch up for a call and pick your brain for an hour, I probably would say, no, I can't, because it doesn't reach my goals. But you've invited me on your podcast and you've got an audience and you can help spread the message and it comes back to my goals. So you need to be you need to find value that you can exchange. You need to serve first and ask later, but you need to learn from people that are traveled the path that you want to travel or are killing it in certain areas of any element of your business, whether it's systems, whether it's email marketing, whether it's, Instagram, Twitter, driving traffic to your website, getting backlinks, you name it, podcasting, magazines. I think it's so important that you surround yourself with like-minded people, entrepreneurs that are at the same level as you, some that are before you, and then some that are ahead of you. And yeah, really just try and learn from people that are killing it, because I think that's one thing that I've done and I didn't realize I did it a lot until recently. And I think it's definitely held me in good stead, because I don't make nowhere near as many mistakes as I would have if I was doing it by myself and not talking to anyone.
Thank you so much, man. This is an amazing piece of advice. And believe it or not, so far I haven't had that advice on the podcast. Wow. So you're the first one. And yeah, this is totally amazing advice for anyone. And in any business, any industry, well, exactly what you mentioned. Surround yourself by people that are doing what you want to do, or that have achieved what you would like to achieve. And yeah, they will totally make everything a lot easier and I guess more understandable at the very least.
Yeah, that's right. So, it was an absolute pleasure, and I'm happy to come on your show anytime, Alex.
That's great to hear, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for yet another amazing episode.
You're welcome.
I am very thankful and grateful to each and every one of you who has tuned in to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. Now, if you did enjoy the show, I would really appreciate it if you could rate it and review it on iTunes Store. You could subscribe there as well. These reviews help me rank the show and they help me to stay motivated and keep producing these episodes. Now, for today's episode, you can check out the show notes where I talk about all the details of today's show, as well as I document all the links and resources we've talked about at extrapodcast.com/6. This is the address for the show notes. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next Monday, and don't forget, you are awesome.